Hey everybody. So what I'm trying to do all the time is make rapid product growth clearer. And to that end, I have made us a flow chart where I've tried to capture the majority of how the system works with common choice points. So let's zoom in. I'm going to walk through this in under 10 minutes. So we start with having a workshop, and there's three major things we need to get out of this workshop. You need to understand your ideal customer avatar. The fundamentals in marketing that are the most boring are usually actually the most effective things you could work on. Believe it or not, this is one of the most important parts of the whole program. Then we're going to map out your understanding of the customer and their beliefs, and we're going to do some competitive research into what copy your competitors are using. Why is that so important? Well, because it saves you a lot of time and money. If you have competitors that are halfway decent at advertising, you can look at what they've learned and not have to pay and go through the pain to learn the same thing. So that's why we do this in a workshop, get everybody started on the right foot. Then everything else, this is our phase one testing. This is what happens next. We're going to do ads tests that are these short, ugly, standardized ads for the most part. And then we're going to run through these tests in this order. So we get the pains, we get the headlines, offers, creative, body copy, and then finally the Facebook headline. That gives you something that looks like a real ad. Headlines is the most powerful thing, because you could creatively test lots of stuff with this technique. So you may solve a lot of problems by coming back to headlines when you have a specific question. I haven't mapped all that out in here because I think it's just too confusing if you see every possibility. Now, then once you have a real ad, we will do what's called traffic stress test. Basically, we just run the ad for more impressions, make sure that the results don't really change on us to get more confidence behind our numbers, just increase the sample size. Now, if for some reason that fails, if almost always the creative, almost always the image is not stopping the scroll properly, so we would repeat the creative test and go again. So we would do more phase one creative tests. Now, we don't go back here because you don't have to repeat all this other stuff, just the creative and go back. Okay, so let's say you get here. Now you've passed this traffic stress test. Now what? Well, for most people, they have a proven offer, so they move on. But if you don't have a proven offer, here's an important point about strategy. Web pages are automation. Everything that we're doing in internet marketing is somehow kind of like automation, because you could, and maybe some of you have, and you know how painful this is, you could go and just call everyone. You could cold call everyone or warm call everyone. And yeah, that's a lot of time, but you talk to them and you get some sense like, what do they think? How do they see things? Now, a web page and a funnel and an opt-in, that's all so you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to go over there and talk to them and get their email by hand. But it's friction. It makes them do stuff. You're asking them to jump through your hoops. So if you don't have a proven offer, we would run an ad and drive the traffic directly to chat, skipping making a website, skipping all that optimization, because you just need to talk to a lot of people, and just paying to have chat conversations is way easier than guess and checking 500 website ideas that you might have, because you don't 100% know what people are going to think. And as a founder, an entrepreneur, or SaaS go-to-market person, you have this expert view of the issue that you're solving, but you've got to talk to regular Joes and see what they think. So that's what this is about. So if you're at this point where your offer is improving, you would take everything you learned so far and boom, drop into chat conversations, skip the website. But for the rest of you with proven offer, you would put up this template landing page. If you're doing a lead magnet, most of you are doing B2B SaaS, and it's most of it like a high value lead magnet. So there's a template for that. And you would just make sure people are scrolling, and you would spend up to 2 weeks trying to improve the scroll rate and remove friction on the page by looking at mouse flow and checking the scroll rate, and perhaps doing headline tests if necessary in phase one. Okay, so that is the friction removal process. It's a combination of running some of those ad tests, replacing stuff on the landing page, A/B testing it, driving traffic. And the reason why we only spent 2 weeks is because after having gone through this process with numerous clients, not every offer gets the scroll rate, but it still converts. So this seems to be a really good medium. If you put 2 weeks of solid effort into it and you can't get it to improve, but everything else looks good, then we just move on because you've probably done the best that you can. Now, at this point, we're going to use conversion objective traffic. It's what I like to call real ads. Like, we're asking the platforms to optimize for an opt-in or something. That's when we start to run conversion objective campaigns. And so we'll run them, and we'll run them just a little bit. We're going to get 10 actions to occur. And then we're going to check, hey, do the economics make sense here? And so there's some funnel math that we'll do. If the economics make sense, great. We'll move on to the next upsell. Now, an upsell is just an increased ask. So maybe you asked them for your email. Maybe now you're going to ask them for an hour of time to go through a demo. Or for some of you, it's actually making the sale. It depends on the company and the specifics. But once these lead generation economics pass, we move on. Okay, great. Run it. And now let's solve the next problem and then move on to the work to scale. Now, if the economics don't pass, we just check. If it's the page, all right, we're going to do some more lander message testing, and we'll do some A/B tests, fix the page so that the page works. But if the page is passing but the ad isn't passing. Okay, it's almost always the creative. So we would work on the creative. And this is what I'm here. Right? You don't worry about, trying to sort this out on your own. That's why I'm here. I'll guide you through this. I just want to show high level what could happen. So if there's an issue here, the page passes the economics, but the ad is having issues. Okay, we're going to do more phase 1 tests. When we find a winner, we'll go back here to phase 2. Now, if page passes and the ad passes, but it's still not making sense for the economics, then there's something else going on. And there's so many ways to attack the problem. You can basically do these sort of hypothesize and test and check, but that's weird. So if that happens, we would go back to, okay, while we're working on this issue, while we're doing our guess and checks, let's make sure we're actually talking to potential prospects with a direct to check. And that can help give you some indication on what's going on. And so this is just a high level overview, like what is the program, which things can happen, and, what success looks like. Success for me looks like a client goes through this, you go through it, you run your tests, and you're able to get through this process in 3 months max. That's what we're shooting for. And, there's a certain cadence you have to run through. And basically, I would say the left half of this, the stuff over here, is easier. It's pretty easy, I would say. It's easy. It's easier to get this going, to get an ad working, than it is to get the page working. The ad's kind of simple. There's only so much to an ad, whereas a page has to answer a lot of questions. The ad got their attention and they're like, yeah, I got that problem. Sure, yeah, let's look into that. And then you have the page who has to answer like objections. You want to ask their email and they're like, I don't know. Is this some fly by night thing? Is this a real company? Do I trust you? There's all sorts of stuff that goes into the page. The page is a little bit harder, and that's kind of how the program works. This is it. So we go through, we figure out your ad, then we figure out your page, and then we get, we ask the next request. And then once this is all working, we move on to scaling, which is, believe it or not, scaling is a lot easier. Once you have this sorted, you've solved the biggest problems related to scale around, like, do you have messages, and you now have a system. So it's much easier now to say, okay, we're going to start increasing our ad spend because everything's profitable. It's making sense. The break-even period makes sense. And we would work on, improving the economics further. Like, can we shorten the break even? Can we improve the actual offer, take rate, the sales, the demos? We would work on all those things as we start to increase ad spend. So that's kind of like what the future looks like after this is completed. Yeah, so this is it, guys. This is rapid product growth in one giant flowchart. So I'm hoping those of you that like flowcharts can appreciate this. And if you have any questions, let me know. Cheers.